Hello, and welcome to this episode. You know, we're supposed to be on the road in less than 2 weeks. And we're getting another snowfall in Calgary. Yesterday, the snow was almost gone. I mean, there's still some in the shady areas. But the field behind our house was completely bare. Morrie was out running around in there. Found a stick. He was having a blast. But, wake up this morning and we've got another couple of inches. I have this sneaking suspicion that we're going to be camping the first couple of weeks in inclement weather.
Well, at least our rig is made for that.
Yes, it is. So today's episode, I am going to be making some homemade pasta, and you are
talking to you again
That's
about
right.
Retirement.
Yeah,
You're a pro at it now. You're
7 years retired.
I'm 3 months into it.
Yeah. Well, we have some philosophies, and we've mentioned this before. Part of the whole idea of this trip is it really is a big retirement project. So we want to make sure that we get out and enjoy that. This was supposed to be gone by now. You know that? I grow this every winter because it's nice and warm when I'm out walking the dog. And I keep thinking, well, as soon as spring comes, this goes off. But here we are, another snowfall. So I'm getting more and more Santa-like as we go along.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, ho, ho. You ready for your interview?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Now we're going to go into more retirement. How has your retirement been going?
My retirement, the first 2 years was miserable. Well, you know, you were here.
I decided to work full time.
Yeah.
As many women whose husband retired, they go to work.
I find that so much of our society revolves around creating value based on what people do for a living. I mean, you meet somebody new, one of the first questions you ask, what do you do? What do you do? And I moved from the education sector where I was teaching media and suddenly found myself at an age where I couldn't find a full-time job. Finding some contract work was not much of a problem, but finding full-time was very difficult. It just seemed that so many places you get an interview and then the job goes to somebody that's half your age and probably working for half the amount of money that you'd be asking. Okay, that's fine. So it finally gets into my head that I'm going to have to retire. And I did, started drawing my pension. And it was rough. That first 2 years was really hard. But the hobbies that I had around here, the wood shop, woodworking, wood turning, I have a greenhouse. So keeping that active all summer, my writing. Knowing that this trip was coming up, I decided I needed to learn video editing. Yes, I have a background in media. I'm a voiceover guy. That's what I do. So I know enough about audio editing to be dangerous, and I knew nothing about video editing. So please be kind to us as you're going through this. This is a big learning curve for me. But
I'm a still photographer.
Yeah, so looking at this, once I sort of figured out that this retirement thing, because I have hobbies that I'm very engaged with, this is the best of all worlds. I can have a nap every afternoon if I want to. I take my dog for a walk whenever I want to. And trust me, he likes to go out 4 to 5 times a day. On nice days, it is not unusual for us to go out and walk, 10 kilometers. That's what we do. So being able to just work on projects that I want to work on, when I want to work on them, for the satisfaction of just working on the project, I suddenly realized after 3 years, I'm not sure that there's enough money anywhere to entice me to come back and work full time. But that was a full 2 years before I started to figure that out. Now that I have been out for almost 7 years, there is not a chance I would ever go and find a full-time job anymore. And these kinds of things, like keeping a YouTube channel going, is new for us. The video editing is new for us, but it's a challenge. It's kind of fun. The day that this starts to feel like a job to me, I'm sorry to tell you, will be the day the channel ends.
We'll send photos.
by all of this is really just to say that as long as you're finding things to keep you engaged and to keep having fun, everything is going to be great. So retirement has gone very well for the last 3 or 4 years. I have really enjoyed it. First couple of years, you know, and this, I was mentioning the value side of this. People would say, well, what do you do? And I would say, well, I'm retired. And I can almost guarantee the second question was, well, what did you used to do? Like somehow that made a difference. No, I'm retired. I'm volunteering. I'm helping the neighbors out. I'm doing all kinds of things that fulfill me on a different level than the paycheck. What I started to realize is the people that were in that place that, you know, get out on this retirement journey and they just find that they don't have any value anymore, that they don't have a purpose anymore. You know, you're working day in and day out, long hours, making a difference, and then suddenly you are retired. Well, what did you used to do? Yeah, well, I don't do that anymore. And it's very easy, I think, for some to just get in that mindset that I guess now that I'm retired, I'm done. I'm done. And so what does that mean? I'm done. Well, it means that I'm giving up. It means that I don't have anything, you know, valuable to live for anymore. We started making plans of saying, well, what kind of hobbies do we have? What kind of hobbies would we like to get into? What are some of the things that we would like to be doing that would keep us motivated? We both liked woodworking. Wood turning was something that I was vaguely familiar with from high school, but I knew it would be something that I would enjoy. So while we were still working full-time, we built this shop and we completely equipped it with everything that we were going to need. And this way, on the day that retirement happens, and now you're drawing a pension and you're not making anywhere near what you were making before, it doesn't matter because the shop is equipped. We've got everything that we need. And it's motivating to get up in the morning and think, oh man, I've got that piece of wood. I've got that piece of ash that we've cut into a circle and I'm gonna go make a bowl today. You know, this was important to be able to just get excited about getting out here and making things. You know, one of the grandkids was over the other day, found one of the little trucks that I made. And the first thing, he picks it up, he's holding it like this. And he goes, Grandpa, did you make this? And I went, yeah, this is so cool. Well, that's just it. I mean, it's sitting here on a shelf, but it was just the fact that I could build something like that and feel good about it. So I really do think that for people that are considering retirement, make sure that you have a really good idea of some of the hobbies that you want to be involved in. Get yourself set up to be able to do that. Set yourself up for success. Don't be one of those people that just sits around every day and does nothing but watch television. You've spent a whole career making a difference. Now's the time to be able to continue to make a difference, but now on your own terms. You get to pick your projects. You get to pick the volunteer opportunities. You get to pick the paid projects. You get to pick the hobbies. You get to pick this. And it gives you an opportunity also to learn new things. I didn't really know a lot about woodworking or wood turning. Okay, huge opportunity to learn. I picked up Sudoku. Why? Just because it's nice to be able to sit and try to solve a puzzle in the morning. Decided to learn a new language. You know, am I doing well on learning Spanish? I'm trying.
Too fast.
Yeah, I'm trying. But this is just it. Things to be able to keep my mind active and to be able to keep my creativity active. Those are the things that I really found vitally important to this retirement thing. Okay, on today's episode of Let's Get Cooking, I will be making some homemade pasta. This recipe is designed to make enough pasta for 2. So a little different than some of the ones you'll find that make a much larger batch. All we're going to need is some 00 flour. This can be found in specialty stores or some grocery stores now sell it. I'm going to need just a pinch of salt, 2 eggs and 1 egg yolk, and a little tiny bit of olive oil. For our pasta, 1 cup of 00 flour, and we'll just put a little well in the middle of that. We're going to be adding 2 whole eggs, and 1 egg yolk. To that, we want a pinch of salt and 1 teaspoon of olive oil. And we will bring this together. If it is a little too dry, you can add just a little tiny bit of water. This one is looking pretty good. And if you actually find that it's too moist with this, you know, a teaspoon at a time, you can add a little bit extra flour. I think this one turned out pretty good. We're going to knead this for just a little bit. Bring it all together. And yeah, this one is just a little tiny bit stickier than I would like. So I'm just going to add the tiniest little tiny bit of flour here. That's feeling really good. This is now just going to get wrapped in some plastic film, and we're going to let this sit for at least 20 minutes. All right, that will be homemade pasta. What I'm going to be doing with this today is making some pasta sheets. So we're not on our travels yet, but this is a sample of the type of meals that I will be doing with dehydrated material. Now I happen to have some hamburger that is not dehydrated, so I will be using that one of those days where we happen to be able to get a pound of hamburger. But everything else here, sweet peppers, mushrooms, and onions, as well as some pasta sauce, is going to be reconstituted from the dehydrated form. I'll be chopping the peppers, mushrooms, and onions into a bit smaller pieces, putting them into a bowl, adding some boiling water, and let them reconstitute. In a separate bowl, I will be taking the pasta sauce, putting it into strips, and adding, in this case, 2 cups of boiling water, and let that reconstitute. And I will do that and then get the hamburger fried up. I think I mentioned in a previous video that sometimes we'll open up pasta sauce and end up with leftovers. And instead of having the leftovers sitting in a jar in the fridge going moldy, I just throw it in the dehydrator. So here I'm just going to be pulling these. It almost looks exactly like fruit leather. It's a little drier than fruit leather, but I'm just pulling these pieces of dried pasta sauce into some strips, some chunks, and we'll add some water to this in a couple of minutes. So the sweet peppers, I'm not going to need a huge amount of these. That's probably about a heaping tablespoon. Okay, 2 more just for good luck. I'll do these. I find that having dehydrated mushrooms on hand is phenomenal, because you just use them in whatever. And that amount there is probably the equivalent of a half of a relatively large onion, and that should be fine for what we're doing here. Just want these into a little bit smaller pieces. That will be our mix of dehydrated vegetables. All right, for the pasta sauce, 2 cups. And this one's actually measured because each of those packets was originally 1 cup of pasta sauce. So I'm adding 1 cup of boiling water for each one. As far as the veggies are concerned, I just need to cover them. So I'm just going to add boiling water and then just let that reconstitute and give it about 15 minutes or so. Okay, while the vegetables and sauce are reconstituting, I'll get our hamburger going. Once the hamburger has lost all of its pink color, I just tip the pan. I'm just going to drain the grease off. I don't know, it all started many years ago when I picked up a hot pan of oil or grease trying to drain it, and burnt my hand and lost most of my meat, and now I just use a paper towel trick. And there we have our reconstituted pasta sauce. Nice. These vegetables are almost done, so I'll be draining the water off of those in a second. And in the meantime, drain the meat. And I've moved all the meat to the edges. I'll be adding to the pan 3 teaspoons of butter. And then I'll be putting the vegetables after they're drained in there. And the drained veggies. And this is the reconstituted onions, mushrooms, and some red and green pepper. Now we'll just let those toast up in the butter for a minute. In the meantime, I'm going to add a couple of pinches of salt and some fresh ground pepper. A little bit of dried thyme and a bit of dried basil. Get this nice and mixed, and then we're going to add most of our sauce, or possibly all of it. Probably should have made 1 more cup of that. Okay, that is our filling. I'll just leave that down on simmer to thicken up just a teeny tiny bit. Pasta dough has been sitting for a little more than 20 minutes. It is ready to go. I have my pasta press ready to go. I'm going to divide this into 4 equal pieces and then get making some pasta sheets. These are going to be turned into pasta sheets. I always make sure that I'm working with one and the others stay wrapped. The pasta rollers have a dial on them that starts at 0 and then goes to quite thin. Today, for these sheets, I will be going down to a level 6. So 1 thin sheet of pasta which is now going into the water. This goes in for 3 minutes. Once the pasta is cooked, take it out of the water and I put it in an ice water bath, just to cool it down and stop the cooking. And now I will repeat that process for the other 3 balls of dough. Okay, cottage cheese, a couple of cups. I'm going to add 1 egg. My typical couple of pinches of salt. Fresh ground pepper. Okay, I'm going to add some homemade Parmesan-like cheese. I made this cheese. If you're interested in the recipe, you can find it in Lisa's book, Confident Cheese Making, or on her channel at Cheese 52. It's a very good recipe and it worked really well. And this is a well-aged cheese. I think I did this one about, I'm going to guess 18 months ago or so. You may have also noticed I don't do a whole lot of measuring of things. I really should get into the habit of doing that. This is going to get brought together, and I'm going to be adding some dried oregano out of the garden. Wonderful. Now for the crazy part. I could have turned this just into a lasagna, but I'm not going to. I don't know, something got in my head. I saw somebody do some potato roll-ups the other day, and I thought, wouldn't that be fun to make some kind of a pasta roll? Yeah. So we're going to take our sheets of pasta. We're going to add some of the meat filling. Ooh, nice mess. I'm then going to add some of our freshly made cottage cheese with a mixture. If this is a disaster, I'm good. All right, to this we're going to add some grated mozzarella. Oh, and as soon as I got the cheese out, guess who came? Hello, Morrie. Hello, Morrie. Yeah, you just give me a second. I'm making a mess here. Yeah, this isn't grating quite the way I was hoping, but that's all right. It wouldn't be Travels with Morrie without Morrie. There you go, bud. Let's see how much of a mess and a disaster this is going to turn out to be. All I want to do is roll this almost like a giant cannelloni. Oh my goodness, look at the size of that. And I'm going to just put that right there. And we'll take the rest of the filling, add it to the top. I'm going to add the rest of the tomato sauce to this. So I didn't reconstitute enough pasta sauce. So what was left over, I added 1 can of tomato sauce. I could have reconstituted that, but just for the sake of time. There we go. And then top that with some cheese. This is going in the oven, and we'll let that cook for about 45 minutes or until the cheese on top is browned, and then we will serve. How do you like my big giant lasagna rolls?
They're really good. Can't tell that they were dehydrated.
Yeah, so that was dehydrated sauce and dehydrated vegetables and homemade pasta. Mm-hmm. Would you be okay eating this way when we're out on the road?
Yes, of course. Did it once before and it was delicious.
Well, that was kind of one of the weirdest pasta dishes I think I have ever made. Rolling, making the lasagna as a roll. Lasagna rolls.
It was really good.
I enjoyed it. It was just silly. But that's the thing. When you're doing things homemade, you can get away with whatever you want. And thank you for the interview.
You're welcome.
It was good. It was good. It's nice just to be able to get some of that stuff off my chest. Listen, before we wrap this episode, I do want to take a moment to say thanks to the Prince George Book Club, and particularly Barb, who set up a fantastic online meeting with the book club and me last night. We were able to talk about lessons in leadership, a storied approach. Fantastic 2 hours we spent online chatting about the book, chatting about the members of the club and their stories and their leadership experience, and it was really phenomenal. And I really wanted to do a shout out to the Prince George BC Book Club for not only having the book club and really promoting the importance of reading, but also the fact that they go out of their way to support Canadian authors. And I just thought that was really awesome. So I wanted to do a shout out for them as well today.
And they have a thing about if books not read or not going to be kept, they donate them to the public library.
Right, so they purchase the books for the club, and then anything that that the members don't want to keep, or if they have excess or extras, yeah, then they get donated to the local library. So I think it's just a really important club, and I wanted to say thanks for them. Anyway, that's it. Any concluding thoughts from you today?
Oh, I'm thoughtless.
You want to give us a 5-second update on the packing?
Most of the little check marks are checked marked off, and there's a few. Yeah, we're almost finished. I can see the finish line.
We know what color the floor is again.
Now, we put some out into the rig, and I'm thinking, I think we have more space than we think we have. But
we'll find
that's
out.
Okay.
We'll find out.
And I'm still going through the stuff that I want to bring for sewing and my crafts, that being realistic, will I get to that? You know, I can always swap out when we come back every year.
We've been really good about putting things into categories. Must have, need to have, would like to have, only if we have room. You know, so you go out in the shop and you see things piled up into, okay, we can't go without our pots and pans type of thing, but
we haven't packed them yet.
Yeah, so. All right, thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time.